Hey guys, Von Schnitzel here. Today, I'll be dueling with Nagakibas, but I'm using specifically the Sword Dance Ash of War. Now this is an Ash of War I haven't used much on Nagakibas before, but it turns out it's quite good. It gives you a degree of hyper armor that allows you to hyper armor through things like Storm Assault and a few other lighter weapons, so it has some interesting applications. Here's a quick look at the build. This is my usual level 125 meta Dexterity build, my main build. And if you're new to the channel, welcome. I'm Von Schnitzel. I create and showcase flavorful and optimized PvP builds in Elden Ring. So be sure to subscribe and turn on notifications so you're informed on the best PvP builds before the DLC releases. So jumping right into the first match here, we're facing an opponent using the Dragon Bolt Blessing. So he's going to take a lot more damage from my Lightning Nagakibas. I land a good jumping hit, and then I'm testing the capability of mashing out of hit stun with the hyper armor of Sword Dance. Doesn't work out too well for me, but I roll in, get a rolling L1 into a follow-up crouch L1 for the roll catch, and the victory. He died in 3 hits because of that Dragon Bolt Blessing. So here we have a match against an opponent that's using the Star Fists. Now, the Star Fists are one of the better fist weapons in the game, and he's using the Braggart's Roar with it, or the Barbaric Roar. One of them, kind of hard to tell which. It's great for fists because it gives you a lot of hyper armor on a weapon that's very fast, high damaging, and aggressive. And he starts by kind of keeping his distance, and he turn and burns me with that running double punch attack. I just try to mash out a hit stun there pretty foolishly, eat a ton of damage, but end up landing a jumping L1. So I'm immediately playing on the back foot here. I equip my red and blue branch sword talisman, and I'm waiting for him to do something to me so I can whiff punish. I hit him with the crouch L1 as he runs in. Take a little bit of damage, activates my talismans. So it's always possible in a game like Elden Ring to come back when you've made a mistake. I land a funny dagger throw there as he's jumping. Go for the crouch L1 into an R1, and as he swings out of hit stun to try to finish me, I just roll back, hit him with that R1 to end the duel. Here we got a pretty cool guy. He's using Black Flame Protection on a Faith build with his coated sword, and he's going to be going for a lot of golden parries. So he doesn't exactly land the parry, but he's trying his best to. And as soon as I see that, I just start going for jump attacks. And the only time I go for something else is when I really don't think he'd possibly go for a parry there. You can see I just keep going for jump attacks consecutively. And if you see someone just spamming parries on you, it's very easy to take advantage of, either by jump attacking, or by using something that can't be parried, or by going for a backstab. Next up, got an opponent using the Godskin Stitcher. So it's a heavy thrusting sword. It's really good when you two-hand one of them. Really good with a jump attack playstyle. He has Storm Stomp that he reveals pretty early into the fight. Lands big damage on me, but now I know what to play around. So I'm not usually a fan of using your Ash of War very early on in a fight, but he ends up switching to some Twin Blades. So maybe it was a good call on his part to just reveal the Storm Stomp immediately, get the damage, and then he goes and starts spinning slashing. But I hit him with my own spinning slash. It does not quite connect as he rolls away. That is the correct way to avoid spinning slash, by the way. You want to roll away. If you roll in or to the side, it's going to vortex you. He weapon swaps again to a rapier, starts using Bloodhound Step, playing very evasively. It's kind of, it's kind of annoying, so I just start throwing daggers. I want him to come to me. I don't really want to chase that down and walk into a bunch of consecutive rapier hits. Eventually, I just hit him with a running R1 from the Katana, finish off the fight. In this duel, we're having a rematch against the fellow that was using the Star Fists. So we'll have a second opportunity to fight these fists, hopefully not to just tank a bunch of hyper armor hits like last time. We start out the fight just footsying around, faking each other out. He goes for the first running attack, so I go in for a jump attack. I delay it slightly, waiting for that roll back to hit him with it. And with a crouch L1 into the Sword Dance, and he uses his hyper armor R2, so we kind of both trade some hits there. He goes for the follow-up as well. He's being very aggressive despite his low health, and I think it ends up costing him the match there. GG. And here we have yet another rematch fight against the guy that started the last fight with the Godskin Stitcher. This time he took out a lance. Hits me with the thrusting R1 right away, goes for that roll catch, does not quite connect on me. I try to fake him out, go for a roll catch crouch attack of my own. We have a bit of back and forth here. I'm swapping between the 2NM moveset and the power stance moveset to really just confuse him. I go for the roll L1 there, which turned out to be a huge mistake because he revealed the Storm Assault. I Sword Dance out of hit stun, expecting him to go for some type of roll catch, activate that hyper armor, land a hit on him. So he turns back into the Twin Blades now. Goes for a Lightning Bolt. This guy really likes his weapon swaps, and I think it ended up being his downfall. I hit him with a Sword Dance as he panic rolled away there. So in this fight here, we have an opponent that starts by buffing himself. He has that double Golden Vow into Black Flame Protection, so I throw a little dagger at him, just in case he had the Ritual Shield Talisman, or Ritual Sword Talisman on. We don't need him having multiple buffs. I land a sword dance very early into the fight, go for a second sword dance, land that second hit, and space back as he goes for an R1. Jump over that thrust and go for the crouch attack into the follow-up R1 and sword dance. They don't quite connect, but he is on the run. I have him really low, so I just swap, go for a Thunderbolt, as he was evidently swapping in his menu or something. Got a guy here, using some cool dark black armor and a hammer. Like to see it. He's just in here to bonk, and I'm going to try to avoid getting bonked. I go for a jumping L1 as he just starts charging an R2 out of nowhere, and make the foolish mistake of spamming after I hit him. Of course he was going to hit out of hit stun with a weapon like the hammer. Land a bunch of good hits. The hammer is just, unfortunately, a really easy weapon to dodge. I go for the sword dance there to just finish him off. Good try to my opponent using that weapon. Next up, we have an opponent here using a claymore. So we run in, get the running R2 to start the fight, then peel off a little bit, expecting him to mash out of hitstun with hyper armor. He chases after me, lands a good hit. I'm trying not to attack into him here first, because I don't want to take a hyper armor trait. I only want to roll catch and whiff punish. So what you always try to do against great swords ends up working out in my favor. GG. Here we have an opponent that starts off blessing his weapon with the black flame buff. Wants to get that % health damage on me. I land a good roll catch there. I try to feint him into rolling again and catching him. Doesn't quite work. He rolls my sword dance. We both exchange a flurry of attacks, dodge well. I run in with a dagger throw as he runs in and don't really get much out of that. We're both just running in and out trying to land a running attack. I try to fake him out there with the wave dashing. Not much happens from it. He's a very evasive opponent. Going in again, I go for the spinning slash here, because I'm tired of how evasive he's being. I just want to land a hit. And now I have a health advantage, so I can just go in and go for R1s to make a trade. Running in, making him scared. He gets a few good attacks as he's backing off, but eventually I land the hit, and that's the end of the fight. Next up here, we're fighting an opponent that's using a halberd that he's going to buff with Cragblade. So he's AFK at the start, give him a moment to come back, and then I punish that buff. You get him with a nice feint crouch into roll catch L1. The swords dance allows us to both hyper armor trade into each other, and then when I have the health advantage, I swing with R1, finish him off. Yet another rematch here against the guy using the multi buffs and the Banished Knight halberd. I go for a Thunderbolt right away just to get some early chip damage, maybe catch him while he's buffing or Talisman swapping. I go for that sword dance and manage to hyper armor the wind effect of Storm Assault and not actually get caught in that true combo. Very interesting interaction there. Go for running R1 that doesn't connect, and go for a sword dance that I try to dead angle to the left to catch him. Sometimes if you lock on with sword dance that close, it doesn't aim correctly. End up getting the kill by switching to good old spinning slash as he rolls the wrong direction. Yet another in a set of rematches against our guy using the hammer. Let's see if he could bonk me this time. I go for a charge R2 from neutral, just expecting him to go for like a charge R2 or something. Doesn't quite connect. I go for a trade there, clearly not in my favor. He starts quick-stepping around, I wait for that to come out and try to punish. My crouch L1 was not quite fast enough to punish. I have a funny interaction there where I get a backstab, he tries to backstab me. I take a few hits. Manage to roll catch him with that sword dance, fake him out with that crouch wave dash. Missed the first hit, but the follow-up R1 comes out really fast after that crouch R1. Now we're going to have one of the spiciest rematches yet. Against the mage halberd guy that was using Loretta's Slash. He starts this time by activating the glint blades. I just strafe to the right or left to avoid those usually. Gets me with that halberd thrust into dagger hit. It's kind of hard to deal with. Realized my talismans were on the wrong talismans, so I swap back to the correct ones. Eat those glint blades once again, try to punish as he casts them this time. That leftover glint blade unfortunately punishes me pretty hard. I get him with a good sword dance, a delayed crouch L1 to punish him, and he just goes for a halberd hit out of hit stun, which was a little bit unexpected to me. Catches me off guard, lands a good halberd into dagger combo. I chase him down here. He gets me with a good running R2. Gets his glint blade back up, I switch on my branch swords. And now we're really getting down to the wire here. We're both maybe one hit from death. I launch a few daggers. I go for the jumping L1 to punch that cast. I think he was really relying on that, and didn't work out. Got a fight here against a guy that's using a poison lance. And he ends up using it very well. So I swap to my anti-poison talisman, cure the poison, just to get a little bit of extra resistance against that buildup. Go for the crouch L1 that does not connect. Hit him out of the air there with a normal R1. try to get a crouch attack to catch him. So I've landed 2 little, like, miniature hits by now. And we both go for a jump attack, they both connect, and he goes for a great turnaround 180-degree jumping R1 there to punish my sword dance. You can see he's running me down because he doesn't want me to bolus. So I go for that turnaround jump attack, and he's ready for it. He just rolled right away. Excellent play from my opponent. He's not letting me get the opportunity to cure this poison. He's staying right in my face, pressuring me appropriately. And I see him go for the flame strike there. That backstab kind of screwed me, and I roll inwards, get caught by the second portion of the flame strike that true combos to my death. Here, we're going to have a really tough fight against an opponent that's using the Lightning Grease two-handed Shamshear. Probably one of the most meta weapons in the game. I end up swapping to my two-handed setup and going for a Spinning Slash there, just expecting him to be fully aggressive. Ended up playing my cards a little bit early there. So I return to neutral, go for the running R2, he jumps right over my head, I go for the Spinning Slash that he punishes excellently. I land a few consecutive first R1 combos. Go for that Sword Dance, Hyper Armors through his hit, gets him with the second hit. Now we're both really low, so I take the opportunity to swap Talismans since he's backing off. I don't see his Talismans procced yet, his Branch Swords, but I assumed he just took the opportunity to swap as well. But if I could land one big hit here, I could just end the fight. I go for a crouch that was a little sloppy, did not connect. Go for that R1 into R1. Now we're both certainly in one hit of death. I'm looking for answers here. I swap to an R2, hit him with that running R2 for the Godskin Peeler as he goes for the Sacred Blade. Good duel, bro. Next up, we have a guy buffing himself with a Grafted Greatsword. And he pulls out a Poison Claymore. I get up my Boiled Crab buff, since I assume he's doing mostly physical damage to me. I start playing with my Talismans a bit, try to find something a little bit more appropriate for the scenario. I end up equipping the incorrect charm there. I was going for a poison resistance one, but... Anyways, back into the fight. Fighting with Nagakibas against Greatswords can be kind of a pain, because they just want to swing with their hyper armor, so you never really have a good opening. I kind of have to wait for him to whiff something, and then go for a swing, but while I'm going for that swing, I have to be careful of his second follow-up swing. So he goes for the second follow-up there, hard to punish. I get him with the second part of the Sword Dance. I try to get him in a Sword Dance, R1 Sword Dance Vortex there, but he just swings out of hit stun, as is expected. He rolls away at low health. I'm trying to finish him off. I go in a little too aggressively. I eat 2 hits there, foolishly. I don't want to make that mistake again. I do a quick Talisman swap. I'm waiting for him to whiff something and I'll go in for the final hit. I want to bait him into me using these Fan Daggers. I see he's swapping his own Talisman, so I use the opportunity to swap to my Godskin Peeler, hit him with that running R2 for the finish. Good duel to my opponent there. Onward to the next fight. We got a guy using the Imp Helm and a Halberd. He's got a really meta setup here. I roll inward there to dodge that thrust. I managed to get a swipe off before eating the second hit of that Loretta Slash. Did not expect to see Loretta Slash. It's not a very commonly used thing in a Halberd, I think. He has that offhand Wakizashi or some sort of dagger. It works very well with the Banished Halberd main hand. It allows you to sort of vortex opponents that get in too close to you, which is a big weakness of the Halberd. He mixes things up with a running R2 there. It's good on him for mixing up his timing. We're both playing this sort of Cold War stall game. Nobody wants to make the first move because it could be the end. I end up making the first move, take a big hit, roll both hits, fake him out with that crouch, and then hit him with the crouch L1. The Sword Dance doesn't quite connect, however. I go for the reverse jump. It does not surprise him enough to land, and I make a quick swap to my Feather Branch Talismans. I'm not quite in range yet of that 20% threshold, but I will be soon if he hits me. Land a good L1 there, into the second hit of the Swords Dance as he tries to roll it. Good duel, dude. I think this is the third rematch against our Paladin friend with the Banished Knight set. Banished Knight Halberd. He gets a buff up, I run in, stabs me once. I kind of stand still in disbelief that I just walked into that. He gets me with the second hit there. Was a little bit longer range than I anticipated. I go for a crouch L1 that doesn't connect, a jump L1 that doesn't connect, and once again I managed to tank through the storm part of the Storm Assault with the Hyper Armor of Sword Dance. Go for another Sword Dance as he's spamming R1s, and then finish him off with the crouch L1 roll catch. So Sword Dance is excellent against Storm Assault. Here we got an opponent using the Tree Spear, two-handing it. So this is a very scary charged R2 attack, and he goes for it right away. I try to jump over it, but he angles it upwards and hits me out of the air. So excellent play from my opponent. I swap my Talisman to my regen. Roll inward, that running R2, go for a crouch L1, and end up taking a few hits that I don't want to hit. He jumps over the sword dance, so sword dance does not have a very vertical hitbox, and then I don't think he expected that crouch L1 to hit him, but it has long range. Next up, we got another golden combatant here, this time using power stance straight swords. So another one of the best setups in the entire game. We both start off with footsies, trying to feint each other with our movement here. He goes in for the jumping L1 for the first strike, misses. I go in for jumping or running R1 and whiff. He goes right past me with that first hit of the sword dance, but then hits me with a double L1 combo. Kind of brutal. I hit him with a jumping L1 to dodge his running attack, hit him with the second part of the sword dance into an R1, start crouching, go for the roll catch that whiffs. He goes for the sword dance. I roll away just out of fear of getting hit by an L1 or a follow-up there. Get my talisman swap going just in case. I don't want to take any chances against a build like this. I know how much damage these swords can do. So now I go in, switch to my two-handed on my spinning slash, swapping between my two-handed and power stance moveset to trip him up. Go for that running R1 to knock him right out of the air. The two-handed moveset of the katana has a high vertical hitbox. So next up is an opponent using an absolutely incredible setup that I need to try for myself. He's using an offhand Nagakiba with a main hand dagger. So at first, I'm not really sure what I'm seeing. I get hit by that dagger into katana, triggers the blood loss, and then I get a bloody slash to just kill me. I died so fast, I didn't even know what happened in the middle of the duel. Next up, we have an opponent using two whips. I think two Haslow's pedal whips. So he's going for that evasive playstyle, trying to get some bleed procs. I roll inward there, hit the second part of that whip L1. Get him with a nice roll catch with the L1 into R1 into sword dance, and just finally a nice clean vortex. GG. Got a match here against another player using a heavy thrusting sword. So I'm kind of expecting that running R2. We both end up throwing daggers at each other. Fair enough. I close the gap while he's throwing those daggers, and he hits me with a Storm Assault right away. So I'm at half health immediately. Kinda sucks to play from this perspective, but it is what it is when you're over-aggressive. Back to playing footsies. I don't really want to approach him now, knowing that he has Storm Assault, so it's kind of on him for doing this so early in the fight. I just will never approach him until I see that come out. And then I punish it with a jumping L1. Go for the crouch R1 roll catch. End up hitting him with that second half of Swords Dance. The Sword Dance really tends to just hit on the second hit more so. And see, I expect the Storm Assault now, so I'm not going to fall for it again. Somehow that Lingering Wind does do a little bit of chip damage, but not really enough to finish the fight. I go for a jump, trying to jump over that running R2. Doesn't quite work. We're both getting pretty low here. And again, I can't really aggress at all, knowing that he has Storm Assault. So I have to keep playing passive and just waiting for him to do something. It's the kind of unfortunate reality of how Hyper Armor works in this game. I go for running R1 as he goes for running R2, zooms right by me as I slash him. Total anime style. And then I finish him off with his own maneuver. Now that's poetic justice. Next opponent is using two curved swords, and I see that magma sword right away, so it's pretty obvious he wants to go for spinning slash, but he pulls out his offhand, starts two-handing it, and he goes for that flame strike that does hit me with the first hit, gets his buff up, and he hyper armors through my crouch L1 with the spinning slash. Does huge damage to me, and I just counter hyper him with my sword dance, roll catch him with the R1 for the end of a quick fight. We have an opponent using Banished Knight Halberd once again. Very popular weapon in the arena the day I was doing this, and it's another poison build, so he's using that dust to cover himself. Hit him with a jumping L1, go for that crouch L1 feint attack, doesn't quite connect. Do hit him with the sword dance though. He hits me with a nice stab there. I want to avoid getting poisoned, so I'm paying special attention to dodge the next hits. I try to jump over that thrust, doesn't quite work, but I hit him with a quick 1-2 with the R1 light attacks. GG. Next opponent is using two Nagakibas, so the first other opponent I found using two Nagakibas while trying this. And he's playing very passively. I managed to land a few hits, and he goes for standing L1, I just sword dance him. And then he sword dances me right back with that hyper armor, but I already have the health advantage, so our swing fiesta ends up in my favor. Good duel, man. And my final opponent here is against a great gravity mage. He starts the battle by spamming gravity spells, goes for the spinning slash, but I interrupt him. I knock him out of the air with an R1, go for the sword dance that misses. And I go for a consecutive sword dance, expecting him to be over-aggressive, which he's not. And he takes out a spear, goes for the ice spear, and I go for a simple spinning slash to end this mage's life. Good duel, and thanks for watching.